Hello and welcome, all you people out there, all you human people. Please welcome yourself and take off your feet and join us for Heavenly Album Covers. We're here with all sorts of stuff to share and to tell and to show and tell, and we're going to get right into it here. We are going to cover this Pink Floyd album. We're going to look at it and talk about it, and we're also going to show another Pink Floyd album, which is behind it right now. Also, keep in mind that next week we are going to have a Soupy Sales week. We're going to show a different Soupy Sales album every day and talk about it, or talk about them and look at them and discuss and criticize them. So watch out for Soupy Sales next week. Also, I was rearranging and alphabetizing our book library here at Heavenly Album Covers. I came across these really great books. There's two of them. One of the books is this size, and the other book is larger than this book. And these books are all about the early days of modern graffiti, and specifically subway graffiti in New York City in the 1970s. Now, this book is fascinating and it's fantastic. It's a photographic documentary of all the young people that were taking part in early New York City graffiti. And apparently these kids, these teenagers, these young people, they were the first young people, teenagers, to ever start a major art movement in the world. It never really happened before until these kids started painting and tagging and doing art on subway trains in New York. So this book is great if you ever see it. And there's kind of a accompanying book, a sister book, a brother book. It's huge. It covers about the same time period as the previous book, but it's huge. I bought this at Crown Books before they went out of business, and it's got fold outs. It's a massive book with massive photographs, and here's some of the kids that were painting trains. There's the whole ethical part of defacement and messing around with public trains, but it's almost a different story there. I think the main story is the kids that were painting these trains and starting what continues today. And I've got all these. I can't get this out now, and I've got all these 99-cent store flimsy pieces of wrapping paper. They used to keep these at the checkout stand, these 99-cent store wrapping things. And up next, I also was reorganizing our office DVD collection, and this little show and tell here is divided up into three parts. The first part is I plucked this off the shelf. It's one of my favorite music documentaries. It's called the London Rock and Roll Show, and it features Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Hines. He was a cohort of Joe Meek, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Screaming Lord Sutch. Now, in the Screaming Lord Sutch segment, there's a guitar player in there named Wilco Johnson, who later got famous in a group called Dr. Feelgood. All of these performers are just amazing. They're all sweating and they're all relatively still young. And if you look closely, there's actually a little quick view of Malcolm McLaren. He's in the in the stadium selling t-shirts, and I think Vivian Westwood is with him somewhere. So there's all sorts of things going on with this. It's also on, you can see this right here on YouTube. The full thing is there. It's highly recommended. And also recommended is me having a sip of cherry Coke diet. So we're getting through this pretty easily, I think. But let's stop here and take a look at this Pink Floyd album. It's kind of burning a hole in our eyes here. I'm going to remove this other Pink Floyd album. Now, these are what I think it's, these are Pink Floyd's 1-2 punch. Dark Side of the Moon came before Wish You Were Here. And where's my pointer? I got my pointer. It's fun to make lots of noise in a confined space. And this is Wish You Were Here. The Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon, came directly before this. I had been introduced to Dark Side of the Moon through a place at my college. It was called the Music Listening Lounge, and it was located right next to our student paper. And you could just turn around the corner and go in through a door, and you would be in the Music Listening Lounge. And that's where I first heard this. People would check out this CD of this song, and they would go into a little booth and chill out between classes and listen to the, different albums. And but on the other hand, I've never been a big fan of this album. It's I can see its benefits. I can see why people like it, but it never really grew on me like these two albums did by Pink Floyd. And so this album is full of all sorts of photographic tricks and photographic things. I'm going to zoom in a little bit like that. And apparently and probably this album cover and the whole package depicts different elements of human life, of the natural world. This picture depicts fire, and there's these two gentlemen. They're shaking hands. This is a real photo. This guy is a stunt human, and I believe this is some sort of movie studio where they took this. It's a very bland photograph, other than the fact that this guy is on fire. It still looks like a really great photograph with the fire going on. It hasn't aged since this album was released, and here it looks. The people that put this album cover together made it look like the actual cover was burning. So let's flip it over. The music on here is great too. It's very calming, very kind of robotic, moody. And I'm not sure who this, what this gentleman represents. There's some sand seeping out of the bottom of the album cover. He's holding a clear vinyl copy of the actual Wish You Were Here album. He's got a hat. He's kind of invisible. And he's on a sand dune. And this is obviously a re-release because there's a barcode on it. Barcodes weren't invented in 1975. And inside, here's, maybe this is depicting wind. I've heard discussions about there being faces hidden in this little thing. This is like a piece of silk or something blowing in an orchard. And there's a nice little photo. For some reason, they reduced it very small. Person standing on their head in Salt Lake, some sort of salt lake, and the water is gushing out the bottom of the album sleeve. I like these liner notes because they're They're very small, but they're readable, and there's a lot of them. I like liner notes. This was, the whole thing was designed by Hypnosis, assisted by Peter Christopherson, who I thought was already a member of Hypnosis. But this was all a Pink Floyd, Roger Waters deal. And the label is pretty nice. These are the Welcome to the Machine hands. They're handshaking here, 1975. I used to think that the colors were different on either side, but this copy just has the green and black. So, great album, one of my favorites. And I'm going to wave my pointer here until I come back. And I'm going to hold this up while I have another sip of cherry Coke. I never used to talk that much. I was always a quiet person until I started this YouTube channel, until we started Heavenly album covers. Now I talk all the time. I don't really like talking. I would rather not talk because I can't pronounce things. And so here we are. We're going to look at Arch Hall Jr. really quick. Arch Hall Jr. is still around. He's about 80 years old, and he was the hot thing for a couple of years back in the early 60s. He was he always kind of played the, what would you call it? Oh, here he is. That's Arch Hall Jr. He always played kind of the crazy hot rod guy, just a real whippersnapper, real slick and groovy. And here he's got a website still, Arch Hall Jr. website. And there's Arch Hall. And he did a movie called Iga about a prehistoric guy that came out of a cave. And I think Arch Hall fights him, and they have an encounter, a violent encounter with Arch Hall and Iga. And so that's Arch Hall today. He's looking pretty good. He's still got the gaze. He's got a really finely cropped mustache. And Arch Hall was in a movie called The Choppers, which is a hot rod movie. 60s punk car thieves gone wild. And there's Arch Hall. He's contemplating the universe and his role in it. And this is one of those dollars DVDs I got. And this is, I think, his best movie. This is like his, what was that movie called? I can't remember. But with Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda. It had the Steppenwolf song in it. I'll remember. And Arch Hall Jr. was also in The Nasty Rabbit, the plot of which I can't remember right now. But there's Arch Hall. He's a very dashing, kind of a Hulk of a dude. Just very appealing, and his features and his movements were always a little bit exaggerated. And he's pretty well known as a cult figure. And this is a nice DVD set. So that's Arch Hall Jr. So we've covered graffiti art on subways and Arch Hall Jr. and one Pink Floyd album. Doing pretty good here. And let's move on to Pink Floyd's Animals. This came out, I think, in 1977. I should check. Yes, came out on Pink Floyd Music Records, something like that. And I'm going to find the next segment photos here so it goes a little bit smoother. Oh, there's the Wish You Were Here originally. A lot of copies came out with this kind of odd black-green wrapping. It was like a shrink wrap that covered up the actual album. Here's a sticker that was on it. And these are kind of hard to find now, worth a lot of money. So here is the pig, the famous pig. hovering, floating above Battersea Station, which I remember seeing a couple of times when I was on a train in London. It's very near the Thames River, and very impressive, a very old power station. And there's the little pig, the little cute pig that Pink Floyd floated above Battersea Power Station. And it's Pink Floyd had a lot of iconic album covers, and this is maybe the third or fourth most iconicized cover. And I believe this jacket, I think I got bubble gum in there, it won't open. And there's the full panoramic scheme of things. It looks like they took the photo on a nice cloudy day, and very striking cover, very dark cover. I don't know if they have a lot of times with reissues and things, they brighten up cover photos, things to kind of go with the times. They'll vary the cover look, or sometimes they'll just ruin a cover by using a bad original negative or something. And the inside is a little less impressive. It has some black and white photos, presumably inside the power station, I guess. This is a nice photo, but compared to the front cover, these interior gatefold photos are kind of weak. And it's got a kind of a handwritten set of lyrics, although I think this is some sort of font, like a handwriting font that someone must have developed very early on in the 70s. It looks too clean and straight to be really handwritten. And probably the weakest part of the album design is the record labels. There's a dog there. There's a song on, one or two songs on this album called Dogs, not to be confused with the Who songs about dogs and dog racing. There's some sheep and a pig, taken with a special lens, a telephoto kind of orb lens. And so that's Pink Floyd Animals, which leads us naturally, and of course we have to round out the episode with, let me find, there's I saw Roger Waters. He was very small. We were in the cheap seats in the back, and he did Dark Side of the Moon there. I was more impressed with that night than I have been with the actual album. This show at the Hollywood Bowl had, it was like super surround sound stuff, so all the sound effects were like under your seat and stuff. And anyway, I am more of a Syd Barrett fan. I could listen to the first album, the first Pink Floyd album, every day. I think that one album is better than anything they put out without him. And that's the ad for the first Pink Floyd album. Has a great set list of songs on there. And there's the pig again. There's the pig. Never liked The Wall. Too dense, too a little bit overdone, overwrought, and over the hill. So that leads us to Pink Lady and Jeff. Pink Lady and Jeff had a half a season of episodes that came out on NBC in the old days when TVs were about 19 inches, and some executive decided to put Pink Lady, these two ladies here, they were very popular in Japan, so someone thought that it would be nice to put Pink Lady in with a comedian named Jeff Altman. And there's Pink Lady. They released tons of albums and singles. They're still around. They're considered like heroes, like pop heroes. They were very groundbreaking at the time. There weren't many Japanese, Asian pop artist breakthroughs in America, and Pink Lady were exposed to a wide audience, even though the actual show wasn't very good. And if you can find a copy of this, grab it. I think it's 3 or 4 DVDs. It's everything that came out under the Pink Lady and Jeff programming label. It's real wacky. Lots of guest stars. Blondie was on an episode. Alice Cooper was on an episode of Pink Lady, just looking very bizarre. It was during his emaciated time. Donnie and Marie, Hugh Hefner and the Playgirls, and big stars like Jerry Lewis, Red Buttons, Jim Varney, and Roy Orbison. So this is worth finding. It was really hard to come by and hard to find and very expensive, but more copies have entered the stream of Pink Lady, and you can find this for $40, $30, I think, depending on where you look. So that's everything today.